feel like the Broncos defense has gotten so much national media attention throughout the offseason that we have neglected the Broncos offense and how good it's shaping up to be. Well, on today's episode of Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. The offense getting the respect it so rightfully deserves, and one specific player on offense who I believe is in for a monster season. So the website is called Sharp Analytics. Essentially what they are is an advanced analytics website for the NFL and a leading contributor for NFL fantasy football analytics. They also have 400,000 followers on X, so they kind of know what they're talking about. Now, Warren Sharp is the guy who kind of runs the whole operation. Sharp Analytics, Warren Sharp, you get it. It's his company, his website. He came out and ranked the NFL's best offensive lines heading into the 2025 season. And surprise, surprise, the Broncos listed with some elite company. Number 2, according to Warren Sharp, in the NFL for best offensive lines. Now, if you don't want to just take this, poorly made tweet here for, all the credit in the world, here's what they specifically had to say about the Broncos offensive line. The offensive line landed in the top 4 of every ballot. That's pretty impressive, and should be the unit that holds together an otherwise talent-limited offense. More on that in just a second. I completely disagree. Garett Bolles anchors the unit at left tackle. He ranked 3rd at his position in pressure rate allowed last season. A lot of great things there, but one little tiny sentence in there that kind of irked me. Just a bit. Talent-limited offense. That kind of just makes him sound like a mid-group, doesn't it? And I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. So I fixed the headline for you. Sorry, Mr. Sharp. How about up-and-coming offense? And I say this because the Broncos had the second youngest playoff team out of all of the playoff teams that were in 2024. Now, they might not be the youngest team overall, but the only ones that really matter are the ones that make the playoffs, right? We can all agree on that. The Green Bay Packers had the youngest team. The Broncos coming in just 3 months younger on average than the Green Bay Packers. So how can it be a talent-limited offense if we don't really know what these ceilings are for these young players? I know I'm kind of digressing, but that's how I would say it. Not a talent-limited offense, but a up-and-coming offense. Obviously, there's a lot to prove with the young players, especially at the wide receiver position for the Denver Broncos. But a little bit more on the Broncos offensive line because they're the ones that got the praise, and we have to give credit where credit is due. This is a hell of a unit. Bolles, Powers, Wattenberg, Miners, and McGlinchey. All of them have not only been ranked that highly by Sharp Analytics, but PFF also ranks them very, very highly. Bolles ranks 14th out of 81 out of all starting left tackles. Powers, 38th out of 77 for left guards. Wattenberg, 18th out of 40 for centers. Miners, obviously the leader of this entire franchise, of this offensive line. And then Mike McGlinchey, no stranger to how good he is as well. So, out of the best, though, Miners is clearly a notch above the rest, which is awesome. Not to sound like Dr. Seuss there in rhyme, but Miners became the 5th Broncos offensive lineman to be named to the first-team All-Pro by the AP, which is an outstanding achievement. And I started to think about all of the great things that Sharp Analytics said about the Denver Broncos offensive line, where we're going with our young weapons, Bo Nix's progression into year 2, the relationship he has with Courtland Sutton, and now a revamped and much improved run game. You got the second-rated offensive line, and PFN rated them the number 1 overall defense. You know what it sounds like to me? This has a trip to the Super Bowl written all over it. I know that in the past couple of weeks I have said the Broncos are going to go 12-5, win the AFC West, win a playoff game, but this isn't me, drinking the Kool-Aid here. I really think the Broncos have a shot to make it to the Super Bowl this year. And I think you would agree with me. And if you do, let me know in the comment section down below. Will the Broncos make the Super Bowl in 2025? Yes or no? 2 months ago, I came out on this channel and I said my way too early picks for the Super Bowl were the Bills and the Commanders. I think the Broncos can go head-to-head with the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Ravens and end up making a Super Bowl appearance. A lot can happen in the playoffs, and I think this might be the year the Broncos show everyone just how dominant they can actually be. Let's pivot now and talk about one specific player that's already on the offense, has been for a long time. Wide receiver one, Mr. Courtland Sutton. And we'll talk about the monster season I think he's going to have after ESPN projected his 2025 stats. But before we do that, make sure you go start shopping at Fanatics, my friends. 60% off this Nike Performance tee. It's only $15.99 right now. That is a hell of a deal. And guess what? It's summer. This loose fabric is going to fit you really, really well, but it's also breathable enough so that you don't feel restricted and too hot. And I made it super simple for you. Use the link that I've put in the comments and description of today's video. Start shopping right now. It's a little handshake deal that we've got with Fanatics, so you'd be supporting the channel as well. And I got to appreciate everything you guys have done for the channel since I've taken over. So again, one more time, link in the comments and description of today's video, chatsports.com/BroncosT. ESPN, obviously the worldwide leader in sports, predicted Courtland Sutton's 2025 stats. And unlike Bo Nix's projections, I actually don't mind what ESPN projected for Courtland Sutton. I think it's relatively close to what I have, which I'll share with you coming up here in just a second. 125 targets, 75 receptions, over 1,000 yards, and 9 touchdowns, especially considering you brought in Evan Ingram, who's going to eat a lot more targets over the middle of the field. So I don't hate these projections. I don't hate these predictions at all. In fact, this is one of the rare times where I'll say, ESPN, you did a pretty good job. My numbers are slightly different, just slightly. And I think he's going to be slightly better than what ESPN has. 130 targets, 83 receptions, so about 8 more receptions. The yardage is the biggest difference here. 1,204 yards, and still with the exact same amount of touchdowns at 9. Now, there is a reason that I believe his receiving yards are going to be much higher than what ESPN predicts. One of the things that Evan Ingram will allow better than any tight end the Broncos have had in recent years is that ability to be a safety blanket over the middle of the field. That's where he excels. So Courtland Sutton can be a much deeper threat. Now, I took this photo from PFF, and I know it's kind of hard to see, but let me break it down for you. What you've got is a kind of a landscape of an NFL field. You got the outside left, the middle, and the outside right. Then you see on the right-hand side, you've got 0 to 10 yards, 10-plus yards, and then 20-plus yards. As you can see, his PFF grades get significantly higher the further he gets down the field. Meaning what? His route running, especially in his ability to create separation off the line of scrimmage and then find his way downfield, makes him an absolute threat. So I did even more of a deep dive for you. I compiled the entirety of all of his 20-plus yard PFF grades. So this is when Bo Nix throws the ball to Courtland Sutton past 20 yards. His PFF grade is a 99.4, which, by the way, is damn near perfect. He's an unbelievable route runner. Courtland Sutton is going to have a sensational season. And I think it is not out of the realm of possibilities that he has the best season of his entire career. You can disagree with me if you want, and that's totally fine. But another thing that I started to think about was if Sutton's going to have the ability to stretch the field a little bit more than, he has in the last couple of years, what does that mean for guys like Troy Franklin and Evan Ingram? Well, that means they're going to excel over the middle of the field as well. Ingram's more of a seam player. Franklin lines up in the slot, middle of the field between 0 to 10 yards. I feel like that's his bread and butter. That's his wheelhouse. That's where you want him to live. So, if you could, and Mr. Producer Nick Lopez, if you want to throw up the Broncos wide receiver depth chart, to depth 3, if you will, I'm going to break down just a little bit about what I kind of envision the Broncos starting wide receivers to be looking like. So, obviously, Courtland Sutton's on the outside. I think you also line Devon Vele up on the other side. So you have your X receiver and your Y receiver as Sutton and Vele. You can line Marvin Mims, Evan Ingram, Troy Franklin up in the slot in a variety of different packages depending on what kind of look you're going with, depending on if you've got a trips right, if you're going 5 wide, etc. But the combination of those 5 players, plus lining up R.J. Harvey, who I believe is going to be a much better pass catcher in his NFL career than he was in his college career, you're looking at weapons for Bo Nix to choose from, spreading the ball out tremendously. And I think that's what Bo's MO is going to be in 2025. Distribute the ball to your playmakers quickly. He's got a wicked quick release. And that's going to be the difference between year 1 and year 2. But let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. That is pretty much going to do it except for this question right here. Over or under 1,050 receiving yards for Courtland Sutton? I should see as many overs for this as possible. Barring any injury, which God forbid never happens, knock on wood, I think this is pretty achievable for Courtland Sutton. So O for over or U for under. And that will officially do it. And remember, if you have not subscribed, make sure you do so right now. Hit that free big red sub button for more free Broncos content. Like the video, and as always, be cool.